32 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 7 threes, 11 for 20 in only 31 minutes of basketball. We finally hit triple digits thanks to CC22, Caitlin Clark.
Where do you even begin when a single athlete doesn't just return from injury, but lights the entire sport on fire? 5 games away might feel like a blip in a long season, yet for the Indiana Fever and the WNBA at large, those 5 games were an eternity. Ratings sagged by more than half, ticket prices dipped, and social media chatter fell silent like a city after curfew.
There was a point during the game where she had 3 3-pointers in 38 seconds, and these weren't just regular old 3-pointers. These were her signature logo threes from feet behind the 3-point line.
The league's brightest headline was suddenly on the bench, nursing a quad that refused to cooperate. But the thing about supernovas is this: they don't ask for permission to shine again. They simply erupt. Caitlin Clark walked onto the hardwood on June 14th without fanfare. No dramatic pre-game speech, no hint of the storm brewing behind her calm expression. Yet everyone in Gainbridge Fieldhouse felt the air vibrate, that low-frequency hum only hear before something monumental.
I know a lot of y'all gonna say, oh, you disrespecting the women up before time. I don't want to hear none of that shit, bruh. The girl was hurt. Ratings went down. All in the toilet. All in the drain.
Maybe the Liberty sensed it too. They arrived with a pristine 9-0 record, the final undefeated squad in the league, walking with the swagger of a team that had forgotten what defeat smells like. They assumed they were the main characters in tonight's script. They were wrong. The opening minutes played to expectations. New York moved the ball with crisp confidence, Sabrina Ionescu slicing passes to open shooters, Breanna Stewart gobbling rebounds as if they were loose change on the sidewalk. A 17-6 cushion blossomed quickly, and the Fever looked momentarily rattled, like stage actors who'd missed their cues. Clark's first few possessions were cautious, testing the leg, getting a feel for contact again. From the stands came an uneasy murmur. Was this just going to be another flawless Liberty showcase? Then the calendar flipped inside Clark's head. One memory, in particular, burned bright. Natasha Cloud stripping her in the dying seconds of their last duel.
5-5. By the way, that was an MVP performance from Caitlin Clark against a team on national television. I think this game might have averaged 3 million viewers today.
The whistle that never came, the smirk that followed. It sat in her chest like a pebble in a running shoe. Tonight, that pebble turned into flint. She sliced through the lane, drew contact, finished the N1, and something electric surged through the building. The spark in her eyes said game on. A minute later, she drifted casually over half court, glanced at the shot clock, and let fly from 33 feet. Net, no hesitation. On the next trip, she barely crossed the logo before unleashing again. Same result, the Liberty bench leaning forward in disbelief. 11 seconds later, one dribble into another logo bomb. 3 daggers in 38 heartbeats. The scoreboard blinked from 24 to 15 to 24 to 24, and a tidal roar swallowed every inch of concrete and steel inside those walls. Everyone who thought they had time to grab popcorn missed the spark that turned into wildfire. That tiny window, 38 seconds, changed the gravitational pull of the game. The Liberty weren't just playing an opponent anymore. They were staring into a vortex that promised to rewrite headlines before the ink had even dried. Clark's teammates felt it too. Suddenly, passes zipped sharper, cuts were harder, closeouts faster. A team that had looked tentative now smelled blood. By halftime, Clark's personal tally read 25 points, 6 triples, 4 dimes, and enough swagger to power a mid-sized city's nightlife. Indiana clung to a 3-point edge, but the score didn't tell the whole story. The psychological pendulum had swung in orange and blue. Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello wore a look that suggested she'd read the scouting report, but somehow skipped the chapter titled "Do Not Let It Caitlin Heat Up." Locker rooms can be sanctuaries or interrogation chambers, depending on which side of a run you occupy. The Liberty huddled around adjustments, determined to punch back with defense shaped like barbed wire. The Fever, conversely, sat in a circle that felt more like a campfire, embers glowing, stories of revenge already half-written. Clark didn't say much. She didn't have to. Her first-half barrage had spoken fluent adrenaline. The third quarter opened with New York's last gasp at control, a 9-0 spurt spurred by Stewart muscling inside and Ionescu draining a step back. Briefly, the scoreboard tilted their way. Briefly. Because Clark is allergic to comfort zones, hers or anyone else's. She orchestrated a counterstrike so ruthless it bordered on theatrical. A 19-zip avalanche, each possession a new stanza in a poem that rhymed with humiliation. A no-look dime threaded through two defenders, a baseline fadeaway that kissed glass like a punctuation mark, another three-pointer from a county over that had the arena DJ stumbling for the right track to capture the mood. Natasha Cloud's assignment had morphed into an unwinnable escape room. Every time she fought over a screen, Clark slipped under it. When she shaded left, Clark jaunted right. When she sagged, Clark buried another deep ball that drew audible gasps. Gasps that turned into delirious laughter, the kind fans emit when witnessing an event their future selves will brag about attending. The Liberty's frustration boiled. There were grimaces at missed calls, hands on hips, defensive rotations a step late as fatigue set in, not just physical, but mental. The exhaustion that comes from arguing with inevitability. Referees gave Stewart 14 free throws. Indiana shrugged and kept raining threes. By the final buzzer, the scoreboard glared 102-88. Liberty, unbeaten no more. Clark's ledger sparkled. 32 points on 11 for 20 shooting, 7 trays, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 shot erasers at the rim. A stat line that reads like a video game glitch, yet numbers are cold. This night was volcanic. Viewership on ABC ballooned to 2.7 million, third highest for any WNBA game this season. Secondary market tickets for future Fever dates spiked 366% before sunrise. Local bars ran out of orange jerseys by Monday. In Indianapolis alone, analysts projected a $36 million injection into the economy over the next year, tied to her presence. Online, the Fever Instagram account crossed 1 million followers, the league's first to do so, while clips of Clark's 38-second spree hit 12 million views by brunch. Brands queued up in her inbox like airlines at the runway. More than that, the result carved a scar into the Liberty's once immaculate record. They had marched into town atop an undefeated pedestal, confident their depth and defense could smother any spark. They left with scorched jerseys, the smell of smoke still curling off their ambitions. Not even Stewart's 24 points, nor Ionescu's valiant 34, could offset the gravity of Clark's orbit. Natasha Cloud, who, to her credit, never ducked the challenge, stood at her locker afterward, trying to find words for the torrent she just survived. One reporter asked if she felt the officiating had swung momentum. Cloud exhaled, shook her head, and admitted some nights you witness greatness wearing the other jersey, and all you can do is tip the hat you're secretly stomping on inside. In sports, greatness is often measured in rings and banners, but occasionally you glimpse a different metric, the collective skip of hearts when a player hoists from 30 feet while the broadcast camera barely catches up, the hush before the net narrows into a whisper, the eruption after. That's the currency Clark trades in, moments so vivid they blur the line between athlete and myth. So the next time someone asks why a single player can tilt an entire league, point them to June 14th, 2025. Cue up those 38 seconds, watch the logo threes, hear the crowd crescendo, feel the walls shake. Then watch the final scoreboard tilt reality and listen to the silence that follows, the hush of people realizing they've just witnessed something they'll never quite forget, no matter how many games come after. Because sometimes, just sometimes, the basketball gods decide to remind that chaos can be choreographed, destiny can wear a jersey, and karma. Karma has a jump shot that starts at the logo and ends in a roar.